Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
And today we are back at it with the Odyssey review, episode 68, The Nemesis.
Dun, dun, dun. This is a two-part episode. These originally aired on July 8th and 15th, 1989, with a 2-week break since Eugene's Dilemma. These are part of Album 5, Daring Deeds, Sinister Schemes. And in these episodes, the mysterious Dr. Regis Blackgaard wants to open an amusement house for children. When it seems he won't win the city council's approval to build, he resorts to questionable methods. And our theme is trusting God in times of trouble.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is quite the episode, or two-part episode, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Um, a lot happens, for sure.
Indeed.
We begin with an Odyssey Town Council meeting, which is always a good time.
Love a good town council meeting.
Yes. It's a heated discussion on whether or not to grant a business license to a Dr. Regis Blackgaard. They're discussing what the type of business is. Mr. Glossman doesn't seem to understand the discussion, as the type of business was already established as an amusement house for kids. Tom Riley is unconvinced that they have enough information, and if you know anything about the Odyssey Town Council, you know it's basically just Tom Riley and Philip Glossman with other people there just for fun.
Pretty much. And those two never agree on anything. Never have,
Nope,
never will.
nope, nope, nope.
Mr. Glossman
Um,
doesn't get Tom's skepticism because he's like, this seems very similar to Wit's End to me. And Tom's like, that's my point. You weren't for Wit's End, so why are you for this?
there's that, and then Mr. Riley's also skeptical because Blackgaard isn't. He tells them that it'll have games, electronics, displays, and snacks and whatnot, but doesn't have a purpose, I guess. And he has Wit. Wit is there, and has Wit read the original like purpose mission statement, if you will, I guess, of Wit's End, um, which he thinks is lacking from Dr. Blackgaard's proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Glossman, to your point about Riley pointing out that he didn't approve of Wit's End when that was being voted on, um, said he has realized since how successful an establishment like that can be, and thinks the competition would be good for the city economy. Um, the argument continues. We learn, which I didn't. One thing I didn't remember is that Dr. Blackgaard's doctorate is in child psychology, um,
Yep.
and so we learn that. And then Wit intersects and suggests postponing the vote for a week so that Blackgaard could outline his plans better, which is agreed on. And after the meeting, Blackgaard thanks Wit for stepping in, says he didn't anticipate this much trouble in obtaining a license. And Wit says something along the lines of Odyssey having good people who are very involved in what's going on in their community and wanting to know what those things are. Um,
Yeah. And then Glossman and Tom come over, still bickering, and Wit's like, hey, the meeting's over, guys.
yeah, but then so yeah, the meeting is over, and um, uh, Wit and Tom head to Wit's End, and they invite, or Wit invites, Blackgaard and um, Glosman to join them, but they decline. So Wit and Tom leave, and then Glosman and Blackgaard start talking after Wit and Mr. Riley leave about how difficult. Well, first Blackgaard is upset with Glossman for not helping him out very well. Um, they apparently know each other or have known each other longer than most of the people. Um,
It becomes clear that there's some sort of cahoots going on between these two.
right. Um, and Glossman says it's very difficult to get anything done when Riley's opposing him, especially when Wit is there to back Riley. And so Blackgaard says let's have to make sure that they're not at the meeting in 1 week. And he says something to Glossman about wanting to run the town. Um,
Yeah, he says, I thought you wanted to run this town, Glossman, or something like that.
yeah. And then he asks Glossman to tell him everything he knows about Councilman Riley, or Tom, whatever you want to call him. Uh, and that's what they're doing as we leave that conversation. So then the next morning, Connie is at home. Her mom wants to
I
know
mean, we don't know it's
what's
the next
wrong with her.
morning. It could be the same day. I think it's the same day. So I think when Wit and
Oh yeah,
Tom
I
come
guess it
into
could be
Wit's End,
because
it's
I
afternoon
guess it
meeting.
could be. For some reason in my mind, the council meeting happens in the evening, but I guess the one the week later is in the morning. So I suppose it would make sense that this one was in the morning too.
Yeah. So
In
it's more
that
like,
morning,
meanwhile, in another part of town.
yeah, Connie is at home having just got up, and her mom wants to know what's wrong with her because she's been moping ever since she got back from camp. Connie says it's nothing. He tells her to go back to reading her paper or whatever, and she's like, "Well, since you asked." But basically, it's just Wit and or not Wit, but the situation with her being fired and not knowing how to interact with Wit since she's been back from camp has been bothering her. She wants to talk to Wit, but she doesn't want to talk to Wit. She wants her job back, but she doesn't want to ask for her job back. Um, yeah, I guess her mom is just listening and ends up saying something about like make up your mind. I feel like I'm in a tennis match and I'm the ball or something like that.
Hmm.
But
Basically,
anyway,
she's like, look, I can see either way, but you're going to have to decide for yourself. No one can make
right,
this decision for you, but I doubt if you go talk to Wit, it's not like he's going to refuse to talk to you. So,
right, yeah. So Connie decides to head out to Wits End. She says just to have a look around. Um, at Wits End, before Connie gets there, Lucy has just told Eugene that somebody wants to see him, and that somebody is Richard Maxwell, who, by the way, Lucy said is very good looking. Wouldn't Lucy recognize him? Or no, that's Donna. Never mind. Wrong
no,
person. Never mind.
Donna's the one who's met him before. Lucy's never seen him before, but yes,
Right.
she is quite taken with
Yeah.
Richard.
Well, I was thinking Lucy was in that episode, and she was, but she's not the one who ran into him.
Correct.
Um. Anyway, yes, she thinks Richard is very good looking. Anyway, Eugene starts talking, or goes to see who it is. It's Richard, who he knows because they worked together at the Five Cs, the Campbell County Community College Computers.
Yeah, see, here the county comes in. That wasn't here last episode in Eugene's Dilemma, so
It's true.
bit of an inconsistency there.
But Richard had come to talk to Eugene, see where he was working, and also ask questions about applesauce. He doesn't say that's why he's there, but it's very clear he still wants to know more about it. Eugene didn't tell him much, and then he had to answer a phone call while he's there. So Richard kindly volunteers to help him clear some tables because, that's just the kind of guy Richard is.
He's just a nice guy. I think it's funny. He's like, I'm gonna see what's behind this counter here, and inside is like it's paper towels.
Paper towels.
Paper towels.
But yeah, so he
Yeah.
clears some tables, starts having a look around. Connie comes in, all the kids there are glad to see her, and then she goes up to the counter and meets Richard, and she's like, "Why are you back there if you're not working?" He says he was just helping clear some tables while the other guy answered the phone. Then Eugene comes
He's like,
back.
she's
Connie
like, who's the other guy?
And then Eugene comes back. There's a bit of an awkward, "Oh, you're working here. That's strange. I thought you were fired when I was fired." Um,
Mm-hmm.
then Lucy comes back to tell Eugene something is wrong with the Ark display. Something not a cow was mooing. I don't remember what. But anyway, um,
It's like a giraffe or something, or
something.
a cow
So
or a
Eugene goes to
dog.
check
I
on
don't
it.
know.
Eugene goes to
I
check
think
on
it's
it, and
funny.
everyone else is
Then
still there.
Lucy says what's wrong, and Eugene, you can just hear he goes, "Oh," and looks. You can tell he's like looking over at Richard. Richard's like, "Hey, I've been here the whole time. It wasn't me."
Yeah. Yep. So he goes to check it out, and then Lucy and Connie start talking, and they haven't seen each other since camp. Lucy said she'd been on restriction since camp, and she no longer seems to have the sense of understanding that she did when she was kicked out of camp and when Connie and her last talked. Um,
Yeah, she's very upset at this point.
yeah. Even she also points out, like, she thinks she should have got another chance, and then points out that Eugene obviously had another chance because he's working back at Wit's End.
Mr. Whitaker knows what compassion means.
Right. And then Richard interjects and says, "Ding, ding, ding! End of round one."
Yeah. You can just like imagine him standing there between the two of them, just like looking back and forth, like, what's going on here? How can I use
Yeah.
this?
He's quietly collecting information.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Connie hadn't realized that Lucy felt that way. Lucy stormed off in between that, and then Connie starts just kind of thinking and talking to Richard. Um, she didn't realize that Lucy felt that way. She thought that she had understood, but she thought most of what she had just said came from her being upset, and that she didn't really mean most of it. Um, Richard said Lucy was right. It was strange, Eugene had been rehired while Connie was out of town. Like that, that's strange, Says if he were her, he'd be reconsidering his alternatives. Um, and is it here that he offers to introduce her to his boss,
Um, I think at this
or
point all he says is there are other places in town to work.
and then that's
I
he
think
decides to
it's left
leave,
at that.
and she decides to leave, and he's like, "Well, I'm leaving too. I'll come with you." But on their way out, they run into Whit and Tom. Oh, that does make sense. This is the same day because Whit and Tom are just coming in from the town council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
all coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they run into Whit and Tom. They talk briefly. Comes up there. Obviously, Whit knows Richard. Then Richard leaves before Connie, and Connie talks to them a little bit. Um, Tom asks,
Tom is very excited to see Connie. Whit is very hesitant, partially because things are still unsettled with him and Connie, but also I think because he's concerned
because
about
Richard.
Richard's being there. So it's just kind of all awkward and tense and uncomfortable.
Right. They kind of just ask Connie, like what she's been up to. She's working at Camp Net. And then Tom's like, "Oh, do you have any plans for work the rest of the summer? Like, come back?"
Nudge, nudge.
Yeah. But she doesn't really say much. She leaves, and then Tom asks why he let her go, and like why he didn't offer her job back. And Whit says that she didn't ask for her job back, and he didn't yet know if she understood her firing in the way he knew Eugene had. Like, he didn't know if whether she had an experience or just come to understand um, the reasoning, and so he couldn't offer her job back the way he had to Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
Then after she left, Richard offered to introduce her to his boss, and took her to an empty building on the other side of town to meet his boss, Dr. Regis Black.
Dun, dun, dun. And then the episode just ends. Right there.
You know, Throughout this first episode, you can say, other than the wanting to prevent Tom and Whit from coming to the meeting, the only thing that makes Dr. Blackgaard evil is just the voice.
It's true. He does have a very villainy voice, and yeah,
Yeah.
so far he has not been set up as a villain, like with what we know so far. Other than yes, it's a little concerning that he is fine with preventing Whit and Tom from being at the meeting. But
Yeah.
since you brought up him not seeming that evil, I would like to point out as we continue into part 2, Chris opens part 2 with saying that Connie was about to go work for the evil Dr. Blackgaard. I was like, hold up, Chris.
I was getting there.
We don't know he's evil yet.
That's what I was getting. I wrote down an intro because I was like, we have not established that he's evil. Like, obviously he has a creepy face, but he has done nothing wrong yet per se.
No.
He's just a little sketchy.
Yeah. Then Chris, just spoiler alert, goes, the evil Dr. Blackgaard. Like, hold on, Chris.
Yeah, that's a surprise tool that we're not supposed to know about yet.
Yeah, I mean, it'll become apparent here.
And if you want to get technical, he never does anything evil. You can't prove that he did anything.
Yeah. Okay.
There's more loopholes than a spaghetti strainer, don't you know?
Yeah. Ah, bit of Odyssean humor.
But anyway, yes, getting into that was the end of part one, and getting into part two, um, we're still at Connie meeting Dr. Blackgaard, and she tells Blackgaard that she was looking for work and tells him about her experience at Wit's End. He asks why she was fired, and so she tells him, and he's like, "Oh, it just sounds like you were curious. It doesn't seem fair that you were fired just for curiosity." Um, and then he asks about the computer program, and she talks a little bit, and then she's like, "I don't think that has anything to do with you wanting to hire me." He's like, "You're absolutely right, you know." Um, and then
It's like, I was just making conversation, and I
you
don't
know,
know what
we're
you
gonna
have a
use
problem with.
computers. We're gonna use computers here. You know, I needed to know if there was any
Hmm.
new technology I needed to know about. Um,
And you can tell Connie's uncomfortable this whole time. I think partially because she realizes there's something sketchy going on with Dr. Blackgaard. She has a weird feeling about him, but she also has just seen Wit and is just torn inside about her own feelings towards him and everything.
right. Um, Dr. Blacker assures her that if she wants to work at his establishment, she could be used. And then she leaves to think it over. And then Richard asks him if he's going to hire him, and he says no. And I was getting the impression it's not like he says he won't hire her because her influence by Wit is too much. But it's almost as if he knows that she wouldn't accept because her allegiance to Wit is so good. It's not that he wouldn't use her if she actually came. It's that he
Yeah,
knew that she wouldn't.
he knew she would. Yeah, and I think, well, one that just shows Blackguard's ominousness, but also like in this conversation where it's clear that like the conversation Connie had with Blackguard and Richard, she's saying things aren't resolved between her and Wit, but she is still actively defending Wit for firing her. So it's pretty
Right.
obvious that she's still gonna choose Wit in the end.
Mm. Um, but after that, Dr. Blacker tells Richard that while he knows that she won't work for him, they can still use her to prevent Wit from being at the council meeting. Um, and then asks Richard what they're going to do with Riley, and Richard's like, "Well, I more deal with manipulating kids. I don't do adults." Um, and then Blackard is
He's
like,
unsure about manipulating adults.
or yeah, something like that. And then Blackard's like, "How dare you, punk?" I don't think he says punk. I don't remember
Yeah,
what he says. But I was basically like, "Don't ever disagree with me again if you
yeah.
know it's good for you."
Basically, it's clear that he's blackmailing him. He's got all this dirt on Richard, and he's like, if you don't help me, I will report to authorities all these bad things you have ever
Mm-hmm.
done. Don't
Yep.
you dare cross me.
Um,
Hashtag read the Blackguard books.
yeah, I have not.
There's a lot
Um,
more of the blackmail as apparent in those books.
but yes, so Richard is like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm going along. Don't know why you were questioning me." Um,
Yeah.
and then Dr. Blacker says he needs more smart guys like Richard when he controls the town. Bum, bum, bum. So then Whit and Tom are at Tom's barn the day before the vote. And they're talking about the vote, and Tom doesn't. He's not 100% sure why he doesn't have a good feeling about Blackguard, but he still doesn't think he wants to give
He's
him.
just got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. Um, he just doesn't trust him for not revealing his business intentions and whatnot. And the conversation gets around to Wit also still being worried about Connie because he had seen her with Richard and wanting to know what headspace she was in, if he could have handled firing her differently, if he should have given her job back already. Um, and Tom reminded him that we just have to trust God's plan. That Wit knew that he had done the right thing in firing her, and he had to trust that she would come around. Essentially,
Yeah. They both tell each other that they need to leave their individual situations in God's hands
yeah,
and trust his timing. I like that Tom calls Wit John Avery. I think other than Wit's wife and maybe Jack Allen and Wit's mother, he's like the only one who ever calls him that. And
yeah,
I don't know, it's just endearing.
yeah. Well, and this scene also shows that the thing of Tom is about the only person who really ever calls out Wit when Wit needs to.
Mm-hmm.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's just worth noting and an interesting thing.
Yeah. It just shows their friendship and the depth of their friendship and the kind of relationship that they have.
Yeah. But also a
We
good thing that,
also, in this scene, sorry, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say something that maybe kids listening to this might not pick up on, but even someone like Mr. Whitaker, who to the kids in Odyssey and kids and people listening, it almost seems like he does no wrong. Even people like Mr. Whitaker need other friends to keep them accountable and people that they can
Yeah.
talk to, like Wit and Tom do.
Hmm.
It's important.
Yeah. And it's just nice to know that Mr. Whitaker has friends. Like, they go fishing together. They help each other take care of their horses. And they get drinks at Wit's End. It's fun to see them hang out.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we also, in this scene, we do meet Tom's horses, Rachel and Leah, who do become somewhat of recurring characters in the show. So, it's worth
I don't know if
mentioning
you
them.
really call them characters, but yes.
Well,
Um,
they come back.
yeah. Then later at Wit's End, Richard finds Lucy and talks to her. He'd apparently been waiting for her there.
Lucy.
Yeah. Um, she came because she was looking to see if she could find somebody to tell her where Connie lives. So she wanted to go find Connie and apologize for what had happened the other day. Um, and Richard said that he had a way that she could help Connie more than just apologize if she was interested, which she was. So he says they had to go outside to talk about it. And we don't hear the entire planning process, but we do know Lucy is not crazy about the plan because if she says what she'd be doing is lying. And what we do find out about the plan at this point is that it's basically telling Wit and Connie that the other wants to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Lucy seems uneasy about it, but
So,
agrees.
yeah, Richard convinces her because he's like, you want to help them, right? Like, you want to help them, like, you want to do something nice for them? Get them together, get them talking. So,
Yeah.
that's how he convinces her.
And he says not only would it be helping them, it'd be helping him too.
Yeah, gotta pull out a little flirtation, anything to get the innocent children to listen to the attractive young man.
Yeah. But the next morning, Lucy calls the Kendall's house and tells Mrs. Kendall that Wit wants to meet Connie at Stonebridge as soon as possible. Um, this whole scene is kind of back and forth to different places because then the next thing that happens is Tom is feeding his horses before heading for the council meeting. Then at Wit's End,
Yeah,
Lucy
I think
gives
it
Wit
is a
a
good idea of
message.
showing us all of these things are happening at once.
Yeah. Then back at Wit's
It's
End,
just like
Lucy gives Wit a
building.
message supposedly from Connie to meet Connie at Stonebridge. And so he heads there, even though he's gonna miss the meeting, but he says meeting with Connie is more important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
then on his way to the town meeting, Tom notices that there's smoke coming from behind him, like from the direction of his farm. So he turns around to go back there. Um, and then
I find it funny um, when he leaves the barn, and then again when he's driving down the road, Tom is humming the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I don't know why,
yeah,
but that's what he's humming.
I don't know.
It's what's stuck in his head, I
Interesting
guess.
thing. We actually sung that song in church today.
That's fitting. Happy 4th of
Yeah.
July, everybody.
Yes. Happy 4th of July. Happy America 250 to everybody.
Mm-hmm. But back to Odyssey.
Back to the story. Connie meets Wit at Stonebridge and apologizes for the way she had acted last time they'd seen each other. She'd been weirded out by seeing Eugene back, even though both Eugene and now Wit told her that there was a good reason for him being back. Um, and she wondered about if Wit was playing favorites. And Wit apologized because he hadn't said anything due to Richard Maxwell's presence. And then they both realized that neither one of them had actually sent the message um, to meet at the bridge, realizing Lucy must have set it up. Um, kind of doesn't know why Lucy would do that because Lucy was still mad at her as far as she knew, which Wit didn't know about. So then she tells Wit about her experience at camp, how Lucy had broken the rule. She'd given her one warning, and then she'd had to send her home because rules are rules, and you can't let it slide. And so, but this whole story allows Wit to see that she understood, whether she realized or not that she understood the reason for her firing. He could now see that she understood the reason for her firing, and he was confident that he could hire her back.
He's like, and on that note, you want to come back? He's like, I was literally just waiting for you to tell me you learned a lesson.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I'm just waiting for you to learn a lesson without me having to teach it to you.
Yeah. Now that you have, you can come back.
But the funny part is when she tells us, there's like, he's like so happy, and she's like, "What? Why are you happy?"
He's like, real, or she's like, and I know that's why you had to fire me. And he's like, you too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he offers to hire her back, and then just then Connie saw smoke and realized it was coming from the direction of Tom's place, and so they get in the car and speed off in that direction. And then back in town, the town meeting is getting ready to start without them because Blackgaard tells Bossman, is like, "I guess just have to start without him, you know. Popular opinion will be on your side today because the only other person who talks on this committee is gone." So
Yeah. I just
you know what
kind
we
of want to
need?
know more about these other guys
I
on
was
the
gonna
town
say we need
council.
a
Like,
backstory of the other boys of the town council.
we need a backstory of every single member of this town council. So we give
Yeah.
them a trilogy.
So we give them a saga. If anybody knows what we were just quoting, that's
If you know,
I'm
you
impressed.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, but like I do wonder about those three guys though, because never in any of our other town councils do we hear much happen besides Riley and Blossman. And also, is being
No.
on the town
Wait,
council permanent? Like,
I
unless
think
you
it's an
retire?
elected position. I
You
would
would
think
think,
it would
but
be
I
an
feel like
elected
they're
position.
always there until Glossman has to retire or leave because he's racist, and Riley
Yeah,
resigns
there
and
might
then
not
becomes
be
mayor.
I feel like they just keep getting reelected. But yeah, I want to know why these other guys just seemingly don't care what happens in Odyssey and they're fine to just go along with
Or maybe
whoever
they're just
Blossman
like
or
normal
Riley.
guys, and they're like, why are you guys like this?
Yeah, maybe. I almost wonder though, later when Tom becomes mayor, the mayor at that time,
Uh-huh.
had he been mayor for a long time, or did Tom know him because he had been on council before? I feel like there's a bit of a backstory on that mayor
Yeah, there is a
once
little
we
bit. I don't
develop
remember
that
for sure what
story.
it is, but there is something there. But anyway, so yeah, the town council meeting starts. And then Whit and Connie get to Tom's place, see that it's his barn burning. Tom is like in the doorway. Um, they pull Tom out. Um, Tom tells him to free the horses. So Whit goes to free the horses while Connie goes to call the fire department. Um, and after they get all that done, Tom says he must have left something flammable out. But Whit says, or somebody had started it deliberately. Um, and then we hear the town council vote 4-0 that Blackgaard will receive his license for business. And that is the end of our episode. And we'll have to hear the exciting conclusion to all this story, an episode called The Battle, which is in like four
Which is,
episodes. I did not realize there was
I
that
know.
many episodes in between.
Well, it's because we're gonna do quite a few, or not quite a few. We're gonna do several albums, 6 episodes before we get to it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, when they originally aired this, they really left us hanging for a while.
Yeah. The only thing that I know of that we hear is that Tom gets his barn rebuilt in the next episode, but I don't know that much else in relation to this story happens in the other episodes
Um,
in between.
Not really, no. Although one of the album's 6 episodes that airs between now and then is the one where Nicholas goes back to the Imagination Station. So we do
Right,
have that
yeah.
slight tie-in with Nicholas, but I had never realized that it was a tie-in. I just thought it was like, oh, Nicholas comes back afterwards. But
Yeah,
chronologically, it happens before.
that makes sense.
But yeah, nothing. We don't know of anything else. You could infer that perhaps some of this stuff is happening simultaneously to the
Yeah,
Blackgaard stuff, or we could just assume Blackgaard operated his business in town for a while with nobody assuming anything bad about it. It kind
that's
of makes
also
sense
possible.
because if I remember, once the battle begins, like Blackguard's castle has gained in popularity. Kids have been going there for a while, so it makes sense that more time passes than we pick up on
Yeah,
in the current album setup.
true. But yeah, do you have any other thoughts on the Nemesis?
I've got a few thoughts, and not just on the Nemesis. I decided to go back and check the Odyssey guide because I realized I hadn't done that in a while, and
Hmm.
I want to backtrack a bit just on album 5 in general and share some fun little tidbits that I thought were worth sharing because I have forgotten to check this in a while. Um, so about album 5 in general, I'm going to read directly. Listen up, children. It says, in the early days of Adventures in Odyssey, Connie Kendall acted as a foil to Wit as she challenged him about his Christian beliefs. Once Connie became a Christian, the writers were looking for new ways to present opposing points of view. They eventually decided that Wit needed a true nemesis, someone who would stand for everything Wit was against. So this kind of piggybacks almost off of album 4 with Fundamentals, where they're like, okay, Connie's a Christian now. Now she needs to learn how to be a Christian. Now they're like, okay, Connie's a Christian. She's no longer a foil. We need a new bad guy. Not that Connie was a bad guy, but you know. So I just thought that was interesting. Um,
Well, and
and
this was
then
really the first time the Odyssey even has an actual bad guy.
yeah, because up till now, just the bad guy has been unsaved individuals or
Yeah,
child drama. It's not been nothing big, but yeah,
right.
they're aiming higher now.
Hmm.
Yeah. What else did I want to read out of here? Um, oh, um, to an encounter with Mrs. Hooper. There's a bit of a goof alert here. So it features Richard Maxwell. But for many years, they put that episode, An Encounter with Mrs. Hooper, in album 6. Um, but then so many people like questioned the chronology of it because it didn't make any sense that Richard just started working in the nursing home after the events of album 5. Um, so then they put it back um, where it is now, which I'm assuming that is the original air order. But I kind of see why they had put it with album 6 because it seems seemingly insignificant in album 5 other than that Richard is in it, so you have to put it before.
Right.
But I
Honestly,
just thought that
Richard
was interesting.
didn't even really need to be in it. But
No, they could have just like if they wanted to like re-record his name and just like change that. But
yeah.
yeah,
But, yep.
another
Cool.
another funny goof. In a bite of applesauce, I didn't catch this, but Eugene repeatedly calls Connie by her first name in that episode. But for many years after this, he still continues to call everybody by their last names. So
He
they
still
just
calls
dropped
her.
the
He
ball
usually
on it
calls her
on
Miss
that one
Kendall,
episode. Yeah. So they just forgot about that fact for one episode.
which is a little strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that all you
Okay.
got.
Then I think so. Let me check. I think yeah. I think that was it. Just some fun little behind the scenes that we hadn't read in a while, but I thought were worth mentioning. So
Yeah.
yeah, our next episode will be our best vacation ever. So
So the good one. Some of our favorite episodes, those Barkley episodes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. We'll see you next week. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe wherever you get the podcast. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
yep. Bye.